Hello everyone and welcome to Beyond Theory. Today I want to share with you 6 powerful tips to help you master the art of reading and develop a love for books. So whether you've never read a book in your life or you read but not consistently, or even if you're an avid reader and you want to take it to the next level, this video is for you. The objective of these tips is to make you fall in love with reading and become a lifelong reader, to make it less of a chore and more of a hobby. In other words, to make it a habit, part of your daily routine, or even part of your identity. So let's get into it. Stick to the end, take notes, and hopefully these tips will contribute to changing your life. So the first point I want to address is defining your why. Defining your why is setting a clear objective for your reading process. Because when you set an objective that is a bit broad, like I just want to read, you don't really know how to start and where to start. So defining your why happens by asking yourself questions like, why do I want to read? And why do I want to become a better reader? And why do I want to read more? And what do I want to learn? These questions will help you set a clear objective. And from my experience, setting a clear objective when starting this reading journey will make you way more focused, and it tends to make you also less distracted because you already have a plan. So for example, when I started this YouTube channel, I had an objective to read a list, let's say, of 50 books, because I knew this would be the list of content that I was going to create. So this objective made me more focused, made me create a plan, make it more of an objective. So I was more, not obliged, but I was more inclined to read every day because I had this objective in mind. It created a sense of urgency in my life. And I'm not saying that this sense of urgency is the only way to start reading, but as a beginner, you need this kick that will make you start the process. And then when you are ready, you're a reader, and when reading is part of your identity and it's a habit that you do every day, you won't need this sense of urgency every day. So just as a start, you need a clear objective, a clear vision, a precise idea of what you want to learn and the books you're going to target. Also, having a clear objective in mind when starting your reading journey have an extremely important but indirect benefit to your journey. Let's say, for example, I set an objective of discovering Stoicism in the next 3 months. So I'm going to read Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and let's say Musonius Rufus, for example. And so I listed the authors, I buy the books in advance, and this is my objective. When I have this objective, I will also tend to watch more YouTube videos about the topic, read more articles about the topic, follow more Instagram pages related to the topic. So in some way, your life becomes dedicated to a precise objective, and this makes everything much easier. The reading process is easier, the interest you have develops and becomes more intense because you have all these information coming from direct and different sources, and it's every day, it's consistent. So it actually starts to changing your behavior and actually impacting your life directly or indirectly. But with time, you actually feel it because all you're consuming, every single piece of content you're consuming is related to this objective and this precise objective. So I think it's an extremely powerful and important way to approach reading. At least it's my way. It helps me be more intense, create a sense of urgency, and always be consuming important and relevant information to my objective. And that's not to say to completely ignore everything else. You can still follow different pages and learn about different topics and watch movies and do everything you want. But at least for your reading journey, you have a precise objective and you create this filter to filter out the noise and to only let in the pertinent information to your objective. My second tip is to apply progressive overload. And this tip comes straight from the weightlifting universe, the gym or bodybuilding universe. For example, when you go to the gym your first day, you start with what you can do. So as a person that doesn't train, what you can do will be minimum weight in, let's say, every exercise. And every time you go, you will destroy some muscle fibers, you will recover, they will build up stronger, and then you will go next time, you will be a bit stronger, and then you will go on this cycle of progressive overload of every single time adding more weight, adding more reps, adding more volume, etc. So I believe this is the perfect analogy for reading and is the best strategy to actually become a lifelong reader, not just to read a book and that's it, to actually become a reader, is to apply this principle and start your reading journey gradually. So let's say you're defining your why as said in the first tip, and now you choose a domain you want to explore. Pick the shortest and the easiest 5 books to start with. And this has 2 main advantages, or even maybe 3. The first one would be that picking a small or an easy book is an easy project to complete. It's an easy objective to achieve. Holding a small book is not overwhelming. It's an easy thing to do. You don't get let's say overwhelmed, or you don't get intimidated. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. You don't get intimidated by a small book, so it becomes easy. It's not the same thing if I give you a book that's more than 1,000 pages like Brothers Karamazov or War and Peace, or if I give you On the Shortness of Life by Seneca, which is like 100 pages long, and you start reading and you finish this project, and that gives you more confidence. It builds your confidence. You lower the barrier to entry. You just start, and if you read 5 books in a row that are more or less small and more or less easy, you build your confidence. And this leads me to the second point. Building your confidence by accumulating small wins is a psychological mechanism called the winner effect. I made a video in the beginning of this channel on that topic. The winner effect is the boost of confidence you gain from winning, and then not only confidence but actually of testosterone, of serotonin, of dopamine. Everything rises in your body, and it makes you more prepared, more confident, less intimidated of the next challenge. So you finish 5 small books, you feel that you will feel that you're ready to tackle bigger books and harder books. You finish Stoicism, which is a straightforward philosophy. You feel like you're maybe ready to tackle existentialism. You finish Sartre in existentialism, you tackle maybe someone a bit harder, and then a bit harder, until you go to Martin Heidegger, for example, which is maybe the hardest of the existentialist philosophers. So this gradual increase in size and in difficulty, hence the term progressive overload, will make you ease yourself into the reading process. And the last advantage of this strategy is that when you read a book that's 100 pages long and you realize the amount of knowledge that you can gain from a short book, you will get addicted, because you will always think, I just want to read all the short books, and I want to read even harder books, because you realize that 100 pages are really enough to change your life. And this realization is extremely important in your reading journey, because the results of the journey is the only thing, or the main thing, that will get you addicted to the process. Without results, if you read for 6 years and you don't see any change of character, you will stop reading, most probably. But if you start reading and you start seeing your behavior changing, your mindset changing, your view of the world changing, this is what will get you addicted. So the third tip to master the art of reading is how and when you're going to read these books. So let's say, for example, you've set an objective for yourself, you've decided, you've listed the 5 to 10 books you're going to start with. Now you need to know when you're going to read them and how. The how is quite simple and straightforward. You're either going to read it or you're going to listen to it. Read it involves a physical copy or Kindle. Listening to it involves Audible or YouTube or any similar platform. So it's very easy. There's nothing difficult about that. And personally, I strongly recommend you to do both when you're starting, because it's much it's a much flexible approach to reading, and it will also give you a lot of a variety. So you won't really be bored of a book. You won't have this redundancy of always being in the same topic, you know? So it will be a flexible approach, and I really highly recommend it. And when you've established that, you need to decide, okay, I'm going to read this book with a physical copy, and this book I will listen to it. Personally, I read all my philosophy books on physical copies because I need to write things on the books, highlight and take notes, etc. for my content creation. So I have a precise objective when reading these books. Whereas when it's a self-help book, a psychology book, or even a fiction book, sometimes literature between both. But in these cases, I tend to listen to them. And my preferred timings for both, for reading a physical copy, would be during my way to work, going to and from work in the metro. I have, let's say, 15 minutes, so that's 30 minutes for both. And my preferred slot is at night before sleeping. I find it's the most comfortable way to ease myself into sleep and to be concentrated, etc. Whereas with listening, it's really flexible. I tend to listen to books while cleaning, doing the dishes, doing my cardio. So it's a really flexible, going on walks. So it's really flexible, and it helps you also easily increase the reading volume you have of a day. Because if you schedule 30 minutes listening, 30 minutes reading, you're already doing 1 hour of consuming books. And this is already, let's say, 10% of the world, or even less, 5 or even 1%. 1 hour a day is a big amount of reading. So I think as a start, if you do both, it will be extremely encouraging and extremely beneficial, because it will give you a nice kickstart. The moral of the story here is that I'm not telling you to do like me. I'm just telling you to have this mindset of, okay, these are the ways, and when am I going to do them? Start testing. I gave you my personal preferences. Start putting them in practice. If you like them, keep them. If you don't, you can change and iterate on my tips. But the objective is to find your sweet spot, to find what suits you and suits your journey and suits your reading style. Okay? So by doing that, everything will be scheduled, and even you can schedule them with a reminder on your phone, because as a beginner, you're not used to reading. So if you don't schedule it, you'll get busy with life and you'll completely forget. And reading 30 minutes every week is not reading. So it's better than nothing, but it's still not the sufficient amount to actually see results and get addicted to reading and actually want to read even more. So schedule them, test, see what works best for you, and take it from there. I think this is the best thing. When you list your books, buy physical copies, buy them on Audible, or try to find them on another platform. And when you have this, you have everything settled. You have the books, the timings, the methods, and the only thing left is to actually sit down and read. So now that you know why you read, what you read, and when and how, comes the time to actually sit down and read. And as I said in the beginning, this is the most important thing in all I'm saying, to actually sit down and read. This is my objective. This is what I'm trying to accomplish by making this video. So I don't want to overcomplicate the actual reading part, because it's the most important thing. I'll just give you some tips to enhance it, to make it easier and to make it more enjoyable. The first one would be to take your time. You're not in a rush. Before starting a book, take your time to familiarize yourself with the author, with the context, with the book itself, with the themes discussed in the book, and just a few ideas or maybe some quotes in the book that have marked other people. You know, I believe that this makes it, let's say, more exciting, more interesting to approach the book. And personally, it makes me more excited to start reading the book, because I already have an idea of what the book is about, an idea of the opinion, and now I'm going to read it and make my own opinion on it, and also have like retrieve the quotes, retrieve the ideas, etc., and make my own judgment on it. And I believe it makes the whole thing more exciting. So take your time, do your research, and then start it with a pre-existing background on the book, on the author, and on the context. The second tip would be to read slowly. It's an extremely important thing. When you're reading, your objective is to acquire knowledge, develop your intellectual capacities and your mental faculties, and just improve your character, improve your life, your perception. You're trying to gain as much as to gain value from the book as much as possible. That's your objective. I hope so. So your objective is not, it's not winning a reading contest, and it's not adding just another book to your shelf. So take your time. I'd rather read 10 pages and actually really understand them and connect with them and take notes and highlight parts and really feel that I've benefited from the 10 pages than read 100 pages and then just skimming through them and not really concentrating and not actually retaining or remembering anything. So take your time, read slowly. It's extremely important, especially in the philosophical, psychological area. Maybe not as important in science fiction, but in this area that I personally am targeting, it's really important to be slow, to connect with the book on a deeper level, connect with the author. Always ask yourself some questions, develop an active reading mindset, highlight things, ask yourself some questions. Why did he say that? Can I give another example than the one he gave? Can I give a counter example? How can I apply this to my life? Okay, wait, let's pause. I want to think about it for a minute, for 2 minutes. Even close the book and think about it for a bit and take notes. It's extremely important. So this mindset, active mindset of reading, helps you be present, helps you immerse yourself in the book much more. And the benefit is extraordinary, because by doing this, you actually develop your character, you develop your personality, you're slowly changing your perception of the world, you're changing your behavior slowly but surely. So to finish the tip of reading slowly, I want to talk to you about the art of rumination, as Friedrich Nietzsche suggests in his books. I wanted at first to make it a separate tip, but I realized that it's extremely close and extremely connected to reading slowly. So I'm just gonna mix them together. The art of rumination is the mindset you have when you read a book of being completely open-minded to receive any idea without having any judgment about the idea, without wanting to judge the idea, being completely a blank page. You receive the idea, you try to decipher the idea, to understand it, to really get into the very core of the idea and what the author really meant, and to think deeply about it, to give yourself time to think deeply. And I think what's extremely important here is to ask questions, because questions will guide your reasoning. If you just think about it, it's not easy to go very far in the reasoning. But when you ask questions, it will be easier to go as deep as possible. And ruminating also involves reading things more than once. You can read it and pause and read it again from a fresh perspective, or even you can read it the next day from a fresh perspective. So I think this is crucial, to approach things from different angles, to try to understand them without judgment, and to try to appropriate them, to make them your own. Because if you don't take your time to read slowly and ruminate, think deeply about things, you just copy other people's philosophies. Whereas when you think deeply about things and go as far as possible in the reasoning process, you can make them your own. You can take what you want, leave what you don't want, and complete and construct your personal philosophy. So I think this is extremely important. And the last point is that when you're conversing with the dead, and when you're having a conversation with the most brilliant minds in history, you should treat the activity as such and give it its time and its focus. So you should prepare yourself for the activity, for the occasion, and to immerse yourself as much as possible. So rumination, to make it very simple, is the objective to think very deeply, to go as far as possible in the reasoning of the ideas and to the very core of what the author really meant. So to finish this video, my last tip will be more flexible and calm, chill than the others. I know that the others might have appeared to you very serious, but that's only because I take reading seriously and I advise you to do the same. However, I'm aware that it's not a contest, it's not an exam, and it shouldn't be a chore either. So it should be treated as a hobby, a serious hobby though, but it still should be treated as a hobby. So be flexible. Don't apply everything to the letter. Try and apply what suits you, what suits your lifestyle, and take the whole activity as a playful activity, a light activity. If you're tired today, you had a long day at work, you can't really think about something, then you don't have to read Nietzsche or Hegel. You can read something more light. If your eyes hurt, you can't really read, then go for a walk and listen to a book. Any reading is better than no reading. So be flexible, don't be hard on yourself. Being consistent is better than reading a huge book in 1 week and then nothing at all for 6-7 weeks. That's not beneficial. So be flexible, try to make it playful, and being serious in some areas in terms of organization will give you room for some flexibility and some creativity. So I think this is the perfect balance. And to finish this video, I just want to share one last idea with you that I believe is important. Try to find the perfect balance between failing fast and being patient. Sometimes when you read a book, you can tell from the very beginning that the book is not nice, you don't like it, and it's not your style, and you're not connecting with the style of writing, and that's perfectly fine. But some books start like that and they improve the more you read. So the more you read, the better it gets. So you should strike the perfect balance between failing fast, recognizing that the book is not for you and changing, and sometimes when you see that there is a potential, being patient enough to see if it gets better or not. Because if you're too patient, then you end up reading books that you don't like. And if you're too impatient, you're failing too fast, you end up not finishing any book. So you should strike the perfect balance between both. If you don't like it at all and you're sure of it, move on to the next one. If you feel like there is some potential, then be patient and it might get better with time. Not sure, but it might. And if it doesn't, then you learn from your mistake. And if it does, then you're lucky. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Let me know what works best for you. And remember, the key takeaway is not thinking about it too much. Just pick a book, sit down and start reading. And I promise you that everything else will come along the way. Thank you for watching.